was your form and more baby aqua made the moon in our praise the multimedia TV channel so subscribe be jaw comment ne like mammy dear more ding Eddie Bakupena for frame and Make major so in some who drop us for Ghana Credre Moa send your prison multimedia dia shabono yes in your better form of Credre Mono ye de baba so mu dear more day na neama ho do bebe na akoso ye video no na yemba.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this conference seeks to bring together major stakeholders in our national development for a reflection and discourse towards developing a framework for a moral vision for Ghana's development. The carefully chosen theme for the conference, and I quote, moral vision and national development, end quote, is timely and relevant to our national discourse. It should serve as a call not only to members of the Church of Pentecost, but also to all faithful disciples of Christ. Indeed, to all Ghanaians to rise to their religious responsibilities and stimulate the desired motivational spirit of renewal and transformation towards effective nation building. It should be our collective desire that the principles of God's kingdom become the driving forces in our lives. God rules in the affairs of men, and in all our dealings, we must recognize the presence of the Almighty, the omnipresent, the omnipotent, and the omniscient. As leaders of the Christian faith, this should be the standard for being a disciple of Jesus Christ. As President of the Republic, that is Nana Akufo-Addo, not me. As President of the Republic, as you all know, my goal since coming into office has been to improve the living standards of the Ghanaian people. Every policy initiative, whether it is the free senior high school policy, the program for planting for food and jobs, or the One District, One Factory initiative, has been implemented with the well-being of the Ghanaian at heart. Before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, our nation had the fastest growing economies. That's one of the fastest growing economies, not just in Africa, but across the world. However, the ravages of the pandemic, worsened by the effects of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, disrupted our progress. Nonetheless, I can assure all of you gathered here that the Akufo-Addo government is determined to bring relief to Ghanaians and return the economy back to the high rates of growth that characterized the management of our economy in the 3 years preceding the COVID outbreak in 2020. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are taking steps which are taming inflation and exchange rate depreciation, and economic growth has also picked up. We will continue with our programs for the expansion and modernization of our educational system to create a 21st century workforce, the systematic reform of our healthcare system to ensure a resilient, robust healthcare delivery system, the realization of the agenda of industrial transformation that holds the key to our future prosperity, the enhancement of agricultural productivity to guarantee the prospects of food security, the execution of the comprehensive infrastructural development plan in roads and railways, the conclusion of the digitalization process to obtain the full benefits of the fourth industrial revolution, the protection and greening of our environment to address climate change, and the empowerment of the security services to consolidate peace, security, and stability of the state and nation. the establishment of a free and just society where entrepreneurship and individual initiative are sources of wealth creation, with a strong social safety net for the marginalized and disadvantaged, and the improvement of the governance architecture to deepen accountability and respect for the rule of law in our body politic. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, any society characterized by rampant deception, bribery, and corruption will not make any progress. We ignore the human factor in a nation's development at our peril. The informal and non-transparent nature of our society makes it easy for people to hide. People believe that there is no accountability for their actions or inactions. The behavior, as Pastor Eric Nyamiche has just said, Apostle Eric Nyamiche has just said, the behavior of the people determines the transformation of a nation. And this is why, as a government, we have focused on putting in place systems that will reduce the role of the human factor and enhance transparency through digitalization of the economy. We have put in place systems that will encourage or compel morally upright behavior. And this is why you've seen several initiatives. We are living in a very informal society, and this is why, it was possible for you to be born and you die in Ghana without anybody recognizing you in any official document. The issuance of national ID cards is providing us unique identity for everybody. And this now means we are now moving to the stage where from next month going forward, babies who are born will be issued national ID numbers. And this will make sure, because when you talk about the Americas, the US, and how they do it, they behave because everybody is identified. Immediately you are born in that society, you are given a social security number or a national insurance number. So from birth through school to work and when you die, everything you do is recorded, is attributable to you. We have lived for a long time in essentially a very informal, non-transparent society. So people can behave in ways that don't have consequences. But when people are uniquely identified, it checks misbehavior, because there are consequences to bad behavior, to behavior that is not morally justified. And this is why we are linking the databases across different institutions so that we can, find out what everybody is doing across, and the data will speak to it. And this is why the Ghana card is being linked to the GRA, becomes your TIN number, to SNIT, to the banks, to Births and Deaths Registry, to DVLA, to the Passport Office, to the births, and so on, so that there is a single source of truth across all of these institutions. And therefore, if you cannot, for example, because we are now linking the Births and Deaths Registry with the National Identification Authority and the Ghana Health Service, it's no longer possible to go and lie about your age, because you will be caught. It used to be possible to lie about your age. It is no longer possible now, because the interactions with the various systems will reveal what is correct. We have also digitalized the operations of many government institutions, and in the process, we have reduced corruption in those institutions. I mean, we at the ports, for example, we've instituted a paperless port system. One of the interesting things about the implementation of the paperless porting system was the resistance of the customs officers when we wanted to make the operations paperless. The officers on day one, the first day of the operations of the paperless port system, some of them organized demonstrations against the system because they did not want the system to work. But we persisted, and the system is working. We have digitalized the operations of the DVLA, and it's now one of the world-class institutions operating in the country. You don't really need guru boys and to pay bribes to work in that. Applying for a passport today is a very easy process. You don't need to go and pay guru boys. You can do it online. It will be delivered for you, and you can proceed. Electricity Company of Ghana, today you can buy your credit on your mobile phone, and it is very, very simple. I will tell you one thing. We noticed a very, very interesting piece of data which speaks to the problems at ECG. We looked at the data, and for a period of 4 years or so, the revenues of ECG were virtually constant. I said, this cannot be possible. How can you get more customers and your revenue is constant? And the interesting thing was that the value was virtually the same, the constant value. They didn't even take their time to change the value. So we said, no, we need to send in a team to look at the architecture of revenue collections at ECG and digitalize the process properly. So we sent in a team to ECG. They were collecting 450 million Ghana cedis a month. When we sent in the team, there was sabotage. Malware was introduced into the system by people working right there.
Mami amakrantima enemy we trying to take so koko no for me say make mejo so me a subscribe button no like neja comment me see ha da mu nyina ma se mamomo ne hwa energy.